must say what really struck me tonight more than it has in the past is this is a real story that's still alive today, and in spite of the good words and some of the politicians that we honor our commitments to freedom, it's still a real problem, and I don't know how we solve it.
Let me add a little bit of nature. Simon's nature. I met him, and he had hugged me on the bridge of the ship, calling me comrade. So I met him in Boston, I guess it was 2 years ago, just before the pandemic. And we hugged each other, and I told him I feel so guilty for having been a part of it. He said, why? You shouldn't feel guilty. And I said, well, you spent 4 years in a Soviet prison camp. He said, no, 3.5.
And to tell the truth, this scene we filmed. And you may wonder why it's not in the movie, yes? And we have more scenes, and also we filmed Simon's meeting with Ralph. Yeah, but and many the people who knew about that we filmed that Simon's were meeting you first times after 50 years after everything that happened, were asking why it's not in the film. But movies like we have this expression, kill your darlings. Even the best scenes, sometimes you need to kill or just to take out of the film for the sake of the movie. The scenes were so strong and so good that if I would leave them, it would be the film would be about the meeting. Really, like, because in the beginning it's not working. In the middle you still don't. It's already like it goes to action, and then for a long time when I was editing the film, the scenes were at the end of the film. But then I decided to take it away because then it becomes a movie about the meeting, and movies like one sentence, and you cannot have a meeting and Simon's return and whatever, like three sentences. No, movies like one sentence. But I took out the scenes, and I don't regret, because for me the most important that you met, that you have this memory, and this is why I love documentary movies. It's not only what is in the screen, but also what happens while you're making this film. This is the most important things. And you remember, we have Josh Alexander. He's from New York, and he consulted me a lot on this story. We worked a lot on this film. You remember the scenes that we're meeting. And yeah, so I don't know if you have something to add. So it's good that I took them out, yeah? Even though they're very good. Okay.
One of the stories I remember during the filming of it, there's a scene that I was pointing out on the chart where it happened, and she kept going and wanted to do it over and over and over again. And I looked at her and says, she's tough. And Simas looked at me and says, no, Gestapo.
We're happy to take any questions. Yes, please.
I mean, the amazing thing about this film and what you've accomplished, right? I mean, it's like every stone seemed, you didn't leave one unturned, you know, like about all these stuff, but you still had to make choices. And some of those things that you accomplished, knowing you, it's understandable how you were able to do it. Your personality, drive, diplomacy, and it's just a magical thing. But I'm just wondering how in the world you got, for example, the U.S. Coast Guard on that to film, and some of these other things. So what were the most difficult parts of the film to actually, because you had to wait on them, right? You needed them, you wanted them for the film, I'm sure.
What was the most difficult in making?
Yeah, to kind of make happen. Like
financing, of course. No surprise. And editing, you know, really editing the film, because the story was so complex. It's almost 100 years of human's life. It's two different worlds. It's also how to, I mean, I'm sure, like, for example, US audience doesn't know anything about Lithuania. Some of them, I was going by taxi, where are you from, Lithuania? Oh, where, Baltic. So also like how to build a context but not to make a history lesson at the same time with movie. How to tell that story. I mean, the editing was really the most challenge, and how to keep it emotional. How to skip all these beautiful, all these wonderful things that I found. The scenes where we are meeting Simas. You can, I mean, there were so many stories where I really could make a series. One story that, for example, when I heard it, I had it just in the very beginning of making this film, and I thought, oh my God, this will be the main part, one of the main stories in my movie. And it's not in the movie anymore. There was one Canadian, a former veteran paratrooper, who who wanted to hijack a plane in order to save Simas. It happened in Helsinki when Simas was in the prison. He approached some pilots and told, look, let's make a plan. I will pretend that I will hijack a plane and ask to save Simas. But I will not do anything bad for you. I will just do like that. Of course, pilots informed police. Mr. Leonard Milne, Canadian, was arrested. And when I was reading interviews with him in the press, he was asked, why you? I mean, you look like you have a family, you have a good career, like you have everything in your life. Why? What made it to you go for that strange adventure? And he told, oh, I thought I reached everything in my life, and I wanted, and when I heard about story of that man who's suffering for his freedoms, I realized I wanted to do something good and draw the world's attention to the story. And maybe my plan didn't work out, but now you're writing about that, and people will read about Sima's story and that all these people suffering behind this iron curtain. And of course, and I also was editing, writing, but since Mr. Leonard was not alive anymore and I didn't have enough archive material, I just couldn't build a strong enough scene for that. So that's why, and many other things that were in this film that we really had to skip. So, yeah, so this was the most challenging. And of course, to reach the Coast Guard, you remember how long I was trying to get on the ship.
I do remember. She faced many obstacles getting the Coast Guard to cooperate.
Yeah.
I mean, initially you have to understand that for the Coast Guard, that's 50 years ago. Well, you know, why do we have to give this priority? We've got operational missions, and she wants to go and do a film. So the Public Affairs Office and the hierarchy, the bureaucracy of the Coast Guard, it was difficult to get their attention to start directing a ship to come and cooperate with Giedrė. But once she was successful, she tells me the crew was very, very cooperative.
Very, yeah. But as I told you during the lunch, this is America, I understood is about. There are so many rules, so many things like you really need to try hard until you will get it, but once you are there, they're very supportive for you. So this happened the same with Coast Guard. It took me 1.5 years to get on that ship. Really. I already lost any hope that we will make it, and we even filmed a story with Simas on like in different, like through the drawings. Simas drew his story, or we filmed on the shore, or like we filmed and filmed and filmed because I didn't know if I will get that ship at the end or if I will not get that ship at the end. But when we were on that ship, finally, really, I realized, like only being on board, that the Coast Guard, all the crew told, we are here for you. I mean, we're not doing any duties for 2 days, we're just here for you, for your film. And I thought, wow.
Any more questions? Yes, please, in the front.
Those of us who grew up in the United States in the Lithuanian community knew the story, at least the American part, very well. The Lithuanian people in Lithuania, they probably didn't know much about this. How was it accepted there, and how do the young and the older generation feel about the movie?
Oh, it's very good. The film is now playing in Lithuanian cinemas. It's already 7 weeks, it's still playing. So how we accepting, I can tell, like today I got a message from some of my friends, I wanted to go to see a movie and it was sold out, and it's 7 weeks in cinema. So, and of course, mostly, everybody is surprised that we hadn't heard about this film, but we didn't know that story. And the same for me, I heard about Sima's story in Los Angeles from local people there. So it's like, yeah, it was, because when he jumped during the Soviet times, of course no media was describing that. The story was going from lips to lips. And only the ones who were listening to the secret, through the secret waves, this American voice of America, they were trying to get and understanding what was going on here.
Sorry, yeah, with black mask.
Yeah, just sincerely want to congratulate Giedrė. Excellent movie, really suspense, and you really keep us grounded into it. My question would go to gentlemen, and you mentioned about the leadership aspect here. And I can imagine that day was really a crucial day, and really a lot of stress, exhaustion, chain of command, and so on and so forth. What would be your recipe from the leadership perspective for the younger ones who are right now might experience the same? Because you really thought a lot. I really see it from your faces when you gave the interview. So, what would be
my
your
recommendations to? I give them a lecture on what to do in situations, grievous situations like that. My recommendation is slow it down. The operational commander in Washington or wherever he may be, the military wants things done in a snappy way. Get it done, get it done, get it done. My advice is slow it down. If you really have to, turn off the radios and think about your personal responsibility that you're going to feel when this incident is over. For example, there are drug runners bringing drugs into the United States, and the Coast Guard wants to stop them with force if they have to. And my recommendation is let them run out of gas, follow them forever. But if you start shooting into the pilot house and if you kill somebody, you're going to feel a responsibility for the rest of your life. It's a very difficult situation. As I said, the military doesn't tolerate thinking soldiers. They want things done quickly, efficiently, and that always doesn't meet the needs of reality.
And I think the Coast Guard had a couple of thinking sailors on board the Vigilant that day, but we couldn't find anybody to listen to us.
Yeah, I have to add, I said in the film, we've been at this for 12 hours. We literally started at 10 in the morning that we became aware of Simon's intentions and wondered what was going to happen. But as time progressed, we said, well, what else is going on in the world? Vietnam War was going on. Is there some prisoner swap going on? This order makes no sense to us, but we don't know what's happening. So in the end, we put our faith in the system, and the system let us down seriously. With Ralph says, let's be transparent. He said, Paul, go to Boston and tell them exactly what happened on the ship. So I did. I was furious when I found out that, in fact, the decision was made in Boston and not primarily in Washington. I just couldn't believe that after everything we've been through for that previous day.
More questions? Yes, at the back there.
For the gentleman, what would have been the repercussions if you had refused the orders?
The repercussions if you had refused the orders, what would they have been?
I probably wouldn't have stayed in the service as long as I did.
It would have been quiet dismissal from the service. The general court-martial would not have made any headlines.
So we have time for about 2 more questions, and there are some drinks in the lobby after the screening where you can approach us, approach everyone here in a more informal setting. But we do have more time for a few more questions. Yes, please.
Thanks for the movie and thanks for the incredible story. It was really moving to watch. My question is to you, Giedrė. You captured many aspects of the story, but did you get the chance to speak to Sima's children? And what is their take?
Wife. She did that.
Yes, sure. We spoke with Sima's children, particularly with his daughter, and she also seen the movie. But at that time, we were kids, and I mean, your question is why we are not in the movie or what?
Yes, because
Wife. Why is wife?
Uh,
Because she had big trouble.
Wife, unfortunately, she passed away.
But when you did movie already, she was.
You know, when I met Simas, she was very sick, so she couldn't speak. And he was really taking care about her. And actually, the moment when I started the film, little did I know that one day we will travel with Simas to United States, because he was taking care about her so much that he was even afraid to leave her for 10 minutes to go to the nearest shop to buy bread. So first we did a movie inside the house where everything happened. And only after his wife passed away, he was ready to travel. And I think it was also a kind of maybe therapy for him, just to go through all his life, and because he felt lonely after his wife passed away. And to your answer to your question, why the children are not in the movie, you know, not everybody can be in the film. It's also not maybe. In this film, everybody who are here, they are related to some turning points with Sima's story. And kids, what we told, there was something that it was still obvious. I mean, we didn't tell some new information. So.
But it was so interesting. You put in perspectives of people that he that wrote to him after they saw the movie on the TV. So I was just curious on the perspectives of yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I realized the daughter didn't want to be so. I mean, she could film, but then, you know, not everybody can be character in front of camera. You know, I also could not be character in front of. I would be very cautious that I am filmed, and so not everybody can be Simas.
Any more questions? Yes, please.
What was it like the first encounter you had with him?
Ever Simas?
And was he willing, like what you explained?
It was like, what I remember, it was a very beautiful, hot day of July. I cannot recall the exact year. It was 2014 or 15, because it was many time ago. I just remember it was a very hot day. He opened the door, he was very friendly, and when I started talking that I'm thinking to make a film, he says, who could be interested in this? 50 years ago, nobody's interested anymore. Oh, why we talk about past? But as always in documentaries, it's everything about time. And the more time we spend with the character, with the people, they see your motivation, and we also get theirs motivation. And when we started this journey together, and I'm very thankful to him, I'm very thankful to Ralph, I'm very thankful to Paul, that we did this journey that was really long, challenging, but I think it was worth.
I must say, when I first talked to Giedrė, my reaction was the same as Simas. Who the hell is interested in this now? I've had enough of it.
Yeah, but we see it, I think the story still resonates so much today, and yeah.
A final question, maybe? Yes, please.
So firstly, thank you for the movie, it's great. I have a question to do with this notion of being a character in front of the camera. I mean, Simas is charismatic as all hell, right? Like, I'm wondering if you expected parts of this documentary to have such a comedic and lighthearted tone when you started it, or if this was a surprise for you.
As I mentioned before, in documentaries is everything about the time. So, of course, when I heard the story, I started research more about the story, developed it. When I realized that the real jump happened after his jump, that the jump was only the beginning, of course I was thinking how to tell that story. It's not a book, it's not a fiction film, it's not, I mean, how to tell it in a movie, in a cinema. And it's a part of like development research. I met with Simas, I met his character, we spent some time together, and I realized that he's very artistic, and I realized at that moment that he's not going to tell his story, he's going to relive his story. And that's how we started working on that.
Well, thank you, Ralph, Paul, and Giedrė.